The dude who'd been sitting in the middle of the open plan, whatever, suddenly wasn't there anymore. The scuttlebutt's like, what happened?
What'd he do?
It started with, I was busted looking at porn on his computer.
No.
And then people kept talking and digging, and then someone said he was masturbating to porn under his desk in the open plan office. And so for some reason that organisation said, look, we don't like the cut of your jib anymore, off you go, sport.
It's your productivity that's the problem here.
Yes, you're too good. What's your trick? How do you stay so focused? He goes, well, I do this 9 times a day. And I got to say, part of me goes, damn, man, that's impressive. How did he do that? And it took time to be busted.
I don't want to be impressed by that. That's
I know you don't want to be, but I
me.
can see the look in your eye. You're like, oh, that's pretty impressive.
Oh, God.
I'm one to whinge about the office. I ranted about the shit show of open plan offices on this very podcast.
You have?
I have. And that was 29 November 2018.
In fairness, this was you preemptively whinging. I don't know when the last time you had an open plan office was, but you don't have one now.
I really don't.
And I know that we're in an open plan podcast situation right now, but
Yes.
you don't suffer through this, but you're so worried.
I care about others.
I don't know.
It's me caring about others. There's a lot of science to back up how much they suck. A few reminders. Office spaces until the 1950s, they were often, hierarchical pukescapes of horror.
Yeah.
Most people, secretarial and drudge types sat in long rows of clattery metal desks bashing away at their typewriter or abacus.
A factory for typing.
Yes. So they were bashing away at typewriters. They were basically shoulder to shoulder, desks in long rows. Horrible. And maybe your floor manager had a little pseudo office or cubicle-y thing on the edge. But the few big offices were for the big bosses who were, of course, males and very powerful.
Corner suite up above them or something like that.
Probably the next floor or 20 floors up. So then a guy called Robert Probst came along and he wanted to democratize the office, or as he would call it, the Bürolandschaft, the office landscape.
Ah, okay. You get to vote on who goes where?
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
It's like, look, I might be the lowest, but I want to be in the big office.
Sure.
Who agrees? We all agree. Off you go. But he's just they were trying to, it was sort of post World War II and, industrial drudgery was kind of being stared at askance. So did some research, commissioned design experts, efficiency specialists, and they showed that people in offices were the most productive. People in the offices, not in the rows.
Okay.
As you'd expect, as we are. Very productive.
Look, okay, I'll believe it. I'll believe it a bit. I'm still a little bit skeptical on this. I think there's something nice about an open plan. But okay.
Have you ever worked in one?
Yes.
They're chunderous, horrible, garbage places of poo.
I like people.
They're horrible.
And I admit, me saying it's great is just as facetious.
Yeah. But of course, so yes, offices are most productive, but they couldn't offer it to everyone. So they thought, how do we, facilitate other spaces?
Yeah.
To make them at least better, at least make them a bit more flexible, customized, something better than a great big heavy immovable desk in a long row of horror people walked up to. So Action Office 1 was born.
Action Office 1?
Action Office 1. Boom! Terrible movie.
Sure.
Because the hero of a bureaucratic movie is not great.
They couldn't get Schwarzenegger. So they got his twin, Danny DeVito, and there is the Action Office 1.
It was really expensive to try and mess with stuff. They wanted to do like customizable spaces, a little bit of acoustic paneling, and maybe a place where people could take phone calls or something. But it was hard to do, particularly in the olden days, and very expensive. So they went, hang on, Action Office 2, the sequel. So this one recognized people are more productive with a territorial enclave that they can personalize. Fuck, I agree.
I am so, that's great.
Territorial enclave.
It's not about me. It's not about me and my territorial enclave. I'm doing this for the team. I'm being more productive by having my territorial enclave.
Yes, you are. But they also said but you require vistas outside your space. So you shouldn't just be locked into your own territorial enclave. You should be able to see beyond.
Territorial enclave plus
with
view.
a vista.
Yeah. Is this vista to the rest of the office or vista of mountains and
to the ocean? All offices need to be in Byron Bay or Norther. So that's when they started to think about things like cubicles in the 1960s, like a cubicle rather than an office. So, you've got low partitions, you're kind of boxed in, but all you can do is pop your head up like a gopher and go vista.
So halfway between office and open plan.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And these are supposed to, I'll have the quote, supposed to make offices breezier, less confined and more efficient. Breezier.
Well, the air can flow over.
Oh, I thought they meant attitudinally, like, hey.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just wafting into work. Everything's fine.
Surface everywhere.
Surface everywhere. But as nice an idea as it was, people basically perverted this idea. They took only efficiency, reproducibility and standardization, those bits, ignored the flexibility and modification bits that were critical to the original idea.
Okay, yep.
Welcome to cubicle farms.
Yeah.
I worked in a cubicle farm about 20 years ago for a certain government department, and the building was really, really long, and I mean fucking long building. And you could pop your head up at one end of the building over a cubicle, and like the cubicles went into infinity. Like I couldn't see the last one. It was freaking amazing. It was the only cool thing about it. I look up there and go, wow.
It's definitely an absurdist modernist nightmare.
Yeah,
it's the grey man walking home from the train station, or a Salvador Dali, but in an office. That makes me so happy. I confess I wouldn't want to work in that place, but I'm glad that spaces like that exist. I assume, though, I mean, there's a chunk in which Australian bureaucracies are just not on the scale that you would get in bigger countries, like America, China, or India, or something like that.
I'll be insane.
There could be bureaucracies in Beijing that, a cubicle farm that is...
Literally, you can see the curvature of the earth if you go far enough. 400 kilometers.
Or it's like that Canadian prison that's like a cube, and it's a movie, and
you
it's
mean
just
The Cube?
It's yes, that's it. And not only is it to the horizon with cubicles, but it's to the vertical horizon as well. It's
and the bum horizon?
And the bum horizon. Every direction. You're at a desk in
cubes.
a point in space somewhere, and it's a hypercube.
But of course, from there is a very short leap to go, and let's tear all the walls down, because let's be more collaborative.
Back to open office,
Open plan.
but it's beanbag now. Surely that's what they've done.
Yes, you can bring your bean back. No, not usually. But yeah, it was all, we've all heard the lines, it's about being more collaborative and efficient. If you work in a team, you should be right next to the team, seeing everything they do all the time. I'm paraphrasing, but only slightly. So the worst problems with open plan offices. Research is clear. And yes, I did cover this or some of it in that previous episode, but just a few reminders. They have significant negative effects for employees as well as organizations, because employees hate it. If employees are in the shit and hate it, they don't do their works as well.
Okay.
So they result in lower performance, especially for tasks that require concentration and memory.
Mm.
They apparently lead to less but not more interactions in face-to-face comms, because people turn inward.
So you're less likely to interact with your colleagues.
Or if you do, it's like, meh, whatever, or we wish you'd stop chewing so loud, you fuck. As opposed to, hey, let's have a little chatty poo about work. Like when we do in our day jobs, we wander down to the other office and go, how you been, man? Nice pot plant. Let's talk work. It also would encourage interactions that were less meaningful and less job relevant. So people more frequently would just kind of talk shit more frequently that had nothing to do with the job in passing and stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Many workers leave the office if they want to speak face-to-face because they don't want to be interrupted or overheard. So they wander away.
So you still have to go away from the...
Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can't use, you pick up your phone and people kind of gently glower.
Yeah.
They have a problem. Also, when you opened everything up, and they found this out in the 70s, they opened up these open plan offices, and they also got better
all crumbs of food.
Crumbs of food stuck within the keyboards of the computers that didn't exist.
Yeah, skeletons everywhere. Yeah, okay.
No, it was about air conditioning and heating and stuff, and building efficiencies also started to increase then. So they sealed the buildings more disease, more transmission of diseases.
We can't have anything, can we?
No, we cannot. Oh. This is why we can never have nice anythings. So, and this evidence continued into the 2010s at least. People interact less. They're more stressed by the noise and distractions. And the standardization that comes in perfectly doesn't quite suit anybody. It's the classic, here's the mean of you and none of you are the mean.
But this is what negotiation is. We get to where we're all equally unhappy. And so maybe what this, the future of the office is just finding a place where everyone is equally unhappy.
So you see, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? 5? The whole office farm puts a thing up, the cubicle farm, that we're all at a 5.
Then that's what we're doing.
Success. Or at least not unsuccess. It just makes me feel bad. The culmination of all this was probably hot desking. Did you ever experience hot desking?
Yes. So in the cubicle farm that I was in, and when you said open plan before, I actually took that as I didn't have an idea of the difference.
Yeah.
So cubicle farm has the little half walls.
You have something, yeah.
Whereas open plan is no walls. So I was actually in a cubicle farm type situation, but it was a hot desk sort of thing. So you don't get one spot. No, whatever. I don't care. Like,
did you work full time?
No, that was I was it was about part time. I was like half the week. So it was when I was doing my honours project. So.
Oh, that doesn't count. That's school.
Look, sure.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah, I get it.
I said work, man.
I was a baby.
Not bludge on the taxpayer's dollar while smoking the marijuanas, thinking about
doing that
shit that doesn't matter to Tony Abbott.
No, okay. I get it.
I worked in an office that went from very high-walled cubicles, so it was okay. Then they went, oh, no, we're going to put you in little lots of 4 that could all see each other.
Yep.
And then they went, oh, actually, because you're supposed to be dealing with clients, which I never did because that wasn't part of my role, no one should be permanently in the office, so you're going to go hot desking, which meant you always had to lock everything away at the end of every damn day.
Yep.
It's really disruptive. You don't feel good. And this was a 9 to 5 at least job, et cetera.
And you can't put your knickknacks, your favourite things on your desk.
You can't.
Like
the butt plug you got from Ulsburden Festival 2001.
Did you put that on your office desk?
Well, because it looks like a paperweight. Yeah, and it's probably the most psychologically counterintuitive, mentally and physically disruptive way to emotionally brain fuck an office worker. Like you put someone in a hot desk and try to get them to be consistent. That's not great. This isn't just personal experience. I know a guy also.
What if they were consistent in sort of disappearing into their work and the space around them didn't matter and they just became one with their computer, their email, and they're just smashing it out.
Yeah.
Why does it matter to have
that 0.01% was fine.
Yeah, okay.
Probably liked it. But most of us aren't like that. So of course, you can add to the whole debate nowadays in the wake of recent COVID ups and downs, the arguments over work from home, doing meetings online and whether, what effects they have on us, our abilities and stuff. So, of course, there are pros and cons, how we work. But in many workplaces, of course, people are now starting to come back to being required to go to the office, which isn't all bad.
Yep.
There are pros and cons. But it means the open plan or the cubicle stuff are starting to become part of many people's day-to-day lives. I'd say about 900 billion people now.
Sure.
Give or take.
You check the numbers on that.
I did check the numbers, yeah. And of course, so the problems that are associated with these work environments also come back. But here, on this podcast, we are not interested in problems. We broadcast from Canberra, not Canberra. Can't, as in cannot.
It's a very small joke.
Don't look at me like that. That's all I got. And we want solutions. It is a small joke. But I thought, I'm out of touch. I've got to make jokes. We want solutions. So today I'm going to have a little chat about some of the more and less expected ways to help the poor souls counteract the problems of 21st century office space and the evil it inflicts upon them.
Welcome to The Wholesome Show, the podcast that pledges its life to helping our office comrades discover life-supporting lessons hidden deep within the whole of sales.
Don't we? See, it's not even dirty.
It's not.
You're welcome.
Look, we're here for you, office comrades.
We are. You're listening to us right now in your cubicle or open plan desk.
Oh, it's possible.
He's Will Grant. I'm Rod Lambert. We are both.
There you go.
We are neither. I am no one. So this episode starts with an assumption, and that is that various perversions of the open plan office are here to stay for the foreseeable future. We're not suddenly magically going to get rid of them. So let's assume they're here. They're in many people's lives. They've got to put up with them. So in support of these white-collar bureaumancers, our comrades, I went on a little hunt to find ways in which they could make their lives better while they're, rather than freaking out, murdering themselves and then other people, they could, make things better for themselves in the workplace.
So is it the individuals themselves making it better or the bosses sort of
It's always the individuals.
Okay, you got to look after your own.
Yeah, because if we assume that this is the state, for many people, this open plan or semi-open plan is the state, then how do they work within it? And fuck me, are there a lot of advices.
Is this like a take your shoes off or something, or and your socks and rub your
Imagine
rub
how
your
angry
feet on the
people would
carpet?
get.
It might make you feel a lot better if you're working without your shoes on.
I would, but I think some people find the idea of the foot in the office to be beyond hysteria inducing. Although, God, I know someone who they worked in an open plan office, and they come up one day, and a dude who'd been sitting in the middle of the open plan, whatever, suddenly wasn't there anymore. And people were talking, as you do, like the scuttlebutts, like, well, what happened? What'd
he do?
Why did Keith go? Like, what the fuck's gone wrong with Keith? And they're like, it started with, I was busted looking at porn on his computer.
No.
And you're like, and then people kept talking and digging, and then someone said he was masturbating to porn under his desk in the open plan office. And so for some reason that organisation said, look, we don't like the cut of your jib anymore, off you go, sport.
It's your productivity that's the problem here.
Yes.
You're
too good. We want to know, what's your trick? How do you stay so focused? He goes, well, I do this 9 times a day. And I got to say, part of me goes, damn, man, that's impressive. How did he do that? And it took time to be busted.
I don't want to be impressed by that.
I know you don't want to be, but I can see the look in your eye. You're like, oh, that's pretty impressive.
Oh, God. This does remind me, though, of that the annual Pornhub stats come out.
We did an episode on that too.
Yeah. The peak in porn consumption appears to associate with arriving at work.
Yeah.
Like it's like people arrive at work, put their stuff down, and that's
Now, who's whacking off today? You're like, how is it when you get there?
I'm just, what is going on there?
And this was in an era of portable devices. It's not like it was the only hardwired internet connection you could have during the day.
Sure. So, yeah, like 70s people are waiting till they get to the ARPANET or DARPANET or whatever it is that you can start your port. No,
with their 8-bit
this is in the modern world
Yep.
where people at home and they have access to the things they need. What are you doing?
I love that. Thank God I'm at work. Finally, I can fire up some good stuff.
But it was also like, it was something like chat room stuff. Like it was like, it's like, you're not just casual here. You're diving on in.
Yeah, I know. That one amused me too. Anyway, the most obvious survival tactic in an open plan office is to somehow physically put up physical ways to kind of block out the noise and the other people, etc. But so that's obvious. There are many ways. We'll get to those. I don't want to do them first. I'm going to leave them until last. I want to go for some of the approaches I saw that I've categorized as, let's say, cultural, psychological, hippie, or
okay.
So most of these come from the Harvard Business Review's Guide to Office Politics by Karen Dillon.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of other sources that wander in and out, but that's one of the big ones. This is great. So firstly, you get rules that enforce quiet hours.
Okay.
So the attitude is if you can't beat the noise, etc., you set strict rules for people that say there are these hours during this day, quiet time, no crunchy snacks and chips, etc.
We're getting to that level. It's not just talking, but
Serious
no
quiet.
Crunchy. Look, it's like high school, or even primary school. There's always, after lunch we have the quiet time. Everyone's got to do reading or heads on desk. You can have a little nappy poo.
Oh, I love a nap.
I think in the office it's a little bit infantilizing.
Yeah, imagine that in the office place. You used a swear word. Now everyone's having a freaking meltdown. It's
No
like,
talking.
what?
This is no talking. This is quiet time.
Yeah, and they're going to say be fanatical about the rules so people know you mean it. But it doesn't go into what fanatical means.
Be fanatical about the rules. That means really enforcing it and getting angry at people for whispering, hey, have you got the email on the Jonesing?
I said shut up. It's 2:00. Here's a pink slip. If you do it again, you get a black one.
I don't want to work there.
No, you don't. Change your environment. Here's another one. Outside influences like air temperature, air quality, smells and colours can affect your focus. So here's what you should do. Take it upon yourself to make office updates. Buy air filters, like light a pine-scented candle, because apparently that helps concentration. Paint the walls around you productive shades of blue. In an effort not to cut into your work time, do these kinds of changes at night when everyone else has gone home.
No.
Now,
I get that you're not allowed to reformat, do a renovation on your office while you're meant to be working.
Or ever.
But I also don't think you should come in on your weekend and go, you know what, I just want to renovate my office.
I painted everything. Now, I'm reading this, I'm like, sure, this is tongue-in-cheek, but nothing other than the actual suggestions made it seem like it was tongue-in-cheek about that one. Like, do it in your off hours. I'm like, whoa, okay. Here's one I really like. Focus is a muscle. So be your brain's personal trainer.
Okay.
So if you think of focus as a muscle, and it works on many levels. So muscles get tired when you exercise them. So you got to warm up.
Yeah.
Then you got to be careful with your form so you don't, pop a hammy.
So before you start work, you
concentrate.
Spend your first half hour doing a Sudoku, and then the next
really
half
think
hour
about your Weet-Bix.
Some video games.
Yep.
And then do a renovation, and then maybe a couple of hours into your
maths.
work, you're ready to start.
Yep.
Once you've really got your focus.
Or you dial up hideous noise that's pre-recorded around you while you keep doing your Sudoku and just get used to ignoring it somehow and exercise your focus. And of course you should warm down as well somehow.
Just a cool down from work. That's called going home.
Drugs.
Like, sure.
Want to blow a joint and watch a dumb movie. It's like, I don't know if that's cooling down as so much as shutting down or switching off. This whole gist of it, it bothers me. I'll get into that later. But this whole, you should do all these things to make it better for your work environment. It's ridiculous. Another one, so directly from this Harvard Business Review again, it's important to learn how to deal with unwanted noise, she says. So you need your own survival strategies. And I love that language, survival strategies. Like even that alone, as rolled into a reasonable kind of publication on business and stuff, the fact that they say that unproblematically kind of raises my antenna.
Yeah.
So the survival strategies, you also need ground rules so you and your team can agree to do things like this. Embrace the positives. So this is all this fucking mindfulness shit too. Work burning you out, well then you should find out how to deal with it, not change the work.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy. There's a lot of benefits in this environment. Getting to know your colleagues better.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, but I don't think it's true either. Someone like Keith chewing loudly on chips during quiet time.
No, it might be though.
Getting to know you, Keith.
No, but it might be a way to understand why Keith chews so loudly. Maybe he's got a
dental issue.
Yeah, or
Sugar
maybe
problem.
he loves it. He loves chewing loudly, and maybe you two could love chewing loudly as well.
That other guy loved looking at porn and whacking off. Is that I got to know him better?
Well, sure.
I mean, how far do you take it? And yeah, she goes on to say there's a lot of benefit in getting to know colleagues on a more intimate level. There's laughter, there's humour. You feel like the rhythm of other people's work and lives. I feel like we have that, and we all have offices. It's
really weird to me that there are researchers in office space and office culture here who have come up with the idea that office colleagues might laugh together. Occasionally. I know. It's strange.
Isn't it? Like, but particularly though, the benefits are if you're always in each other's faces, then you might actually start, getting to know each other. It's like you can do that without that. It's back to that whole, the reason for the open plan in the first place. If you work in a team, you should always work in a team. Yeah. And you're like, it doesn't work that way. There's another guy quoted in this article, David Burkus. He's an associate professor at Oral Roberts University. When these spaces are designed well, they can foster collaboration by, quote, offering opportunities for serendipitous interactions with people all over the company.
Cool.
But you should at the very least resist your impulse to be the first to grumble about the noise because, quote, you don't want people to see you as persnickety or difficult.
You should resist your impulse to grumble about it.
I don't know how. But even that, it's like, no, be a good little person. Just don't complain. Just find the good in it. Oh, my gosh, Keith had a joke. Who knew Keith had a joke? So I don't like it. Align team expectations. So this Oral Roberts guy, Burkus, goes on. Instead of griping, have a conversation with your team about how you can all work optimally in your office, in your open office. First, you should speak to your manager, though, since it's best if the discussion is instigated by leadership. So you're taking notes? So he says you should tell your boss, I'd like to get the conversation going, but I don't think I'm the right person to bring it up. Can you help?
Sorry, what?
Harvard Business Review article.
This is how we start conversations in the office.
With your boss, you say, I want you to bring it up because I'm not the right person. As a team, your collective goal is to come up with agreed norms and you'll all operate within them. So it goes on like that. And really, the more I read that, it's just like you're beaten children who have to obey the parental boss or hierarchy. And I just find that flabbergasting.
Well, look, I mean, so much of this research I find just so mechanistic about people.
Yeah,
like these workers are people making their own individual choices and things. And it's like treating everyone like a cog in a machine. And I know that the office culture has to do that a bit.
Sure.
But I don't know if I could do this kind of research.
Or work in that environment? Maybe neither.
Well, I could do that.
You wouldn't like it.
Because I'm gonna hang out with Keith and find out about his jokes. And
why you choose.
And I don't mind that. I don't want to hang out with that other guy that's
the master debater.
I don't want to.
No.
That's not what I need.
Another suggestion, move around the office. Even the most open offices tend to have discrete spaces that allow employees to remove themselves from the commotion.
Secret spots.
Dunnies. So this the associate professor from Oral Roberts goes on, you should take full advantage of empty conference rooms, semi-private cubicles and quiet alcoves. Confront that mental block you have about staying in the desk you're assigned to, he says. Because when your chatty colleague starts talking about this kinds of thing, like talking about Game of Thrones, up with the kids, you can just take your laptop and move to the dank mildewy desk.
Who needs advice to tell them you can take your laptop and move?
No, I know. I know. These are real.
Thanks, researcher.
A tip for those who work in large companies, this is a really good one. It's often helpful to move to a different floor of your building.
Hey, okay.
People aren't as apt to know you there, and therefore you're less likely to be distracted.
And you can hide. You can not get jobs.
But by definition, what they're saying earlier is they'll get to know you there, so you're going to have to keep moving floors until you run out of floors.
I do like this fabled person that they're imagining that is just sort of hiding in plain sight all over the place. Just is it so they're more productive or so they're hiding from work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of their survival mechanisms. He also says, they both kind of, between the two of these authors, ask to permanently move desks. If your problem isn't the open office as such, but a talkative or loud co-worker,
sure,
speak to your manager about moving desks. Imagine speaking to your manager about a problem in the workplace.
Who would ever think of doing that?
It's genius. These guys know what they're talking about. You shouldn't suffer, they go on, but don't complain.
I guess this is where you're not complaining. You're saying, the loud chewing that I'm experiencing is probably best shared around.
Yes.
Like everyone should have a bit of loud chewing near
It's
them.
not fair that I should get it all.
I have got it all. So I've had, I'm using too much of this. Someone else, Janelle, can come and sit next to Keith and get some of that benefit. Yeah. So you're not complaining. And
she's a really quiet chew. Maybe they could teach each other something. You can't even tell when she's eating. They
can equal each other out. It's like noise cancelling headphones.
It would be.
Like Keith and Janelle chew at the same time and it comes to nothing.
And suddenly everyone thinks they're deaf. So she suggests, like, you talk to your boss about, you don't complain. This is kind of like what you were saying. You talk to your boss about how you will be more productive in a new space because they're idiots and can't tell what you're doing.
Yeah.
No, I'm not whinging. It's just, I want to give more. I want to give 110%.
But that's what everyone does. All you have to do, any conversation with your boss.
I want to be better at the job.
How can I be better at the job? Yep. And my solution for being better at the job is to work from home or not wear pants or whatever. And so long as you're saying, so that I'm better at the job.
For the job.
Then you get it.
It's Ricky Bobby and Talladega Nights. I said with all due respect, you're a total shitbag and I hate your guts and your family suck. But with all due respect, she says, talking about how you'll be more productive. It will be easier for me to stay on a deadline if I move to a place that is quieter.
Okay.
And whatever you do, don't let your annoyance bubble up so that you one day scream at your colleagues to shut up, she says. An outburst like that is very hard to repair.
Sure.
And look, the article ends with a whole bunch of key principles. I'll go on just the don'ts, Don't be difficult. Try to embrace the positives. Just everything about this sucks, but at least I'm not dead. Don't go it alone. Ask a trusted colleague to run interference for you from time to time and promise you'll do the same for them.
How so?
Oh, there's that annoying shit about to talk to you. I'm going to run in and block and go, oh, look at that window.
Oh, okay. So you've got, when there's a terrible colleague, you don't want to be near. Yeah. So you're getting your other mates at work to sort of head that off. Yeah,
to somehow block them. And then you do the same for them.
Okay.
Like imagine having to go to these lengths. And I'm sure a lot of people do. There'll be people listening going, oh, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. All the time.
Yep. Is that shithead.
Janelle and I have to do that to cope with Keith chewing. Or
Fred's reaction to it, which is not great. And whatever you do, don't suffer in silence. Speak to your manager about moving desks if you feel it will improve your productivity. So I got to say, most of that stuff shits me royally. You probably haven't picked that. It's also passive, docile, submissive, and just like, But I'm a idealist, so I say rebel.
Yeah, sure.
Easy for me though, because I don't have 9 children, and I was going to say I could easily get another job somewhere else, but I don't think that's true anymore. Imagine me lining up. I'd like to be. Reads a script, manager of blah, blah. And like, what experience do you have? I'm older and I've worked.
You'll be all right.
No, I'm fine. Like I'm not whinging. This is me not whinging about my workplace. Okay. So you can build little barriers like with whiteboards, small bookshelves, stuff like that. And people do this if they've got a mini cubicle or at least something, they can put little barriers around themselves. One source suggests you grow plants.
Nice.
Try creating a forest around you made of various plants, or perhaps grow a hedge.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I like a hedge at work. That's
I think it's great. Like this is the best one I've heard. I'm like, grow a little hedge. That sounds nice. And sometimes it flowers.
It's not exactly easy to grow a hedge inside.
No, or at all. Hedges aren't easy, and they're not quick.
Yeah, sure.
Listeners, don't go with
but you got
your box hedge is very slow growing.
Plan for the long term.
Bamboo.
If you're going to be at work for the next 40 years, you might as well get your head started now.
Get your non-clumping bamboo gracilis. That's my advice. They also go on to say you won't be able to look out, but no one will be able to look in either. And they won't even know if you're in the office.
Why are you holding the pictures away from me? Because
I'm not ready yet. I'm very close.
I want to see some
the pictures,
some office hedges.
Pictures aren't what you think. Earplugs, of course, or of course, headphones. And of course, headphones, as they put it, tell the world I'm too busy for other people's noise. But we know this. I mean, people are using headphones all the time, noise cancelers in particular, in these cubicles and open plans. And then they go on, I'm not going to go into the detail of, what kind of music should you play?
What? Come on.
What would you play?
The music that you like.
Yes.
So what you do in playing music is you go through the music that you have in your collection or your streaming service and you play the one that you like and that you feel like right now. Why does a researcher need to say the best type of music?
I really don't know. But let's go back to our opening assumption. If these office spaces are going to be around for the foreseeable future.
Sure.
And people have to find ways to do it. I say we stop pussyfooting around and we get into ways to physically, privately barrier ourselves. How do we physically make it better?
Yeah, okay.
None of this fluffing around agreements, go to your manager and go, I just want to be productive.
What do we got?
The real invention that really kicks this off was from 100 years ago, 1925. Mm-hmm. It's kind of inspired, or rather kind of mimicked by a picture here that I think is worth showing you. It's quite amusing.
Oh, wow. That's
the computer privacy hoodie.
Knitted sleeve connecting your head to you.
Yeah. So what we're looking at here is a person with basically the ginormous sleeve over their head. It goes all the way down to their laptop and little slots for their hands. So they look like they're wearing a weird perverse jumper and staring down at their groin, which is definitely a laptop.
I'm feeling very hot. Like that is
sweaty.
That is a super beanie, and I that is a very knitted woolen thing going all over your head. Oh my God.
But look, the real legend comes from this 1925 thing. So a fella called Hugo Gernsback. Now he was a American inventor, writer, editor, engineer, designer, businessman, magazine publisher. Mm-hmm. And one of his magazines was called the Science and Invention. And it encouraged scientific curiosity, amateur scientific experimentation. And he started it as a way to showcase all this stuff. And it was around from 1913 to 1929, so early stuff. Now, Gernsback himself, super interesting dude, whole bunch of stories about him, which I can't cover here, so I'm going to do another episode on him quite soon.
Okay.
Because it's worth it.
All right.
But he's earned the credit. But so for now, I'm just going to talk about one of his 80-plus patents and inventions that's relevant to this. And it addresses a personal solution to your office problems that is next bloody level.
Come on.
So 1925, he showcases his new invention. It's perfect for concentration in the office. The anti-distraction helmet he called the Isolator. It's fucking spectacular.
Oh, is this like horse blinders or something like that?
Oh, God, that's unambitious.
Oh, okay. All right.
The pitch, before I show you, here's the pitch. It's designed to minimize visual reach, granting the wearer absolute concentration on whatever he is doing, because obviously dudes. So it has eyepieces that are mostly painted black, and then there's a small scratch in both of them so that you can only see right through them. It's pretty hefty, thick, well sealed for soundproofing.
And he was doing this seriously, right?
Seriously. Oh, 100% seriously.
He's not doing this as some
Wait till I show you pictures.
Some art project or something.
Nope, this is 100%. He's an inventor, fabric. He's an everything guy. He's one of those Renaissance dudes who's into the sciencey things. So it's pretty well sealed up for soundproofing. And when they tested it, he found that people who stayed in it for lengths of time started to get really sleepy. Oh. Because it would fill with recycled carbon dioxide.
Okay.
So the obvious solution was to introduce an oxygen tank extension to it. So it's great unless you're claustrophobic.
Yeah.
So picture one is from the magazine cover. So the magazine cover, where he showcases it, looks like that.
Oh, damn. Oh, this is advertising?
Well, I suppose.
So what do we got here? We got a dude in a suit sitting at his desk, and he's got an old-fashioned telephone next to him. But he's literally got – it's closest to a welding helmet, but it wraps around your whole head.
Kind of like an artillery shell that's been cut off at the bottom.
And you've got like two little slits for your eyes, and then the oxygen is being piped straight to your nose, and then –
yeah.
Oh, damn.
Imagine walking into an office and seeing someone with this half artillery shell.
But all this is doing is making you more focused on the thing right in front of you.
Yes.
So, couldn't you just look at the thing in front of you?
Not with distractions.
But he can still be distracted. He can turn his whole head.
I don't think he can turn his head easily. Well, here's an actual photo.
That can't be.
Here's the actual helmet.
Jesus Christ.
So it looks like a 1970s Doctor Who villain. It looks horrifying. Like, it really looks like a weird early sci-fi alien.
I just, the idea of a whole office space full of people wearing that.
Wild.
Just wild.
Oh, I bet. I mean, if you take to paint the word picture, if you take those old school diving helmets where, you put that big heavy bugger on your shoulders and someone's pumping the air. It's that, but bigger and with far less ways to look out. I reckon it weighs a lot too.
This says that there is a photograph. So I want one.
Of course you do.
And if anyone can find a link,
of the Isolator.
Yes, I would 100% be keen to find that. It's a weird moment where, and a lot of science history is full of this.
Yeah.
Where someone has a brain fart idea. They wake up in the middle of the night, or they hit their head on the toilet bowl, or they take some drugs, and they have an idea.
Yeah.
And then
let's do this.
The next morning they go, oh, that was a good idea. I'll follow through with that. Yeah. And then, this takes them 3 weeks worth of making something. And at no point did they think,
hang on,
this is fucking stupid.
This is terrible.
This is terrible.
What I'm doing here is insane. But look, points for just going for it. just going for it. It's like, look, the problem is I can't concentrate and there's people and noise around me everywhere and I'm sure other people suffer this way. Fixed it. And he, this helmet also featured in the American Physical Society magazine, same year, 1925. And apparently, despite, as they put it, its gas mask aesthetics, and it's true, only fucking big gas mask. I mean, this thing goes almost to the edge of your shoulders. It's big.
Yep.
It's big. So despite that aesthetic, the Isolator was a widely promoted idea and it encourages focus and productivity.
Widely promoted.
Yeah, promoted. They didn't say sold. Promoted is
but okay, there's the next bit, So you wake up in the middle of the night with a dumb idea.
Yep.
Then you get up in the morning and you spend the next 3 weeks making this thing. Yep. Then you go to widely promoting this. You're like, I believe in this so much.
Yeah.
I've seen no indication that this is dumb. I'm going to invest my life savings.
This shit's going to work.
Trying to get people to buy this.
I'm not only going to be rich, that's secondary. People are just going to say, you saved me.
I love the idea of someone ignoring all criticism because surely everyone sees this and says, no, dude. But you have to be belligerent with your belief in yourself to just go, no, this is.
But I imagine him, and we'll get when I do this full story on him. My impression is he was quite an outspoken, confident man, and he was doing things all the time. So this would have been like, throw that on the pile with the other inventions because here's the next one, here's the next one, here's the next one.
All right. If you're against the level of distraction that we're talking about here, then you should be putting your catheter in. You should be, chaining yourself down. And you should be like, why would be the point of leaving my desk, to go to the toilet or something like that?
Oh, now I understand. I think you just want to torture yourself further.
No. Like this is if you
so catheter and an IV, like feeding through a feeding tube down your nose,
you should tube yourself in. If you are at this level of
actually commit.
Yeah, this guy's a wuss.
I agree.
This guy's a wuss. If you really want to be the least distractible person, then
go for it. And the most productive.
Go hard. Put yourself in pipes and chains. Then go.
Wow, you've taken it to a level that really scares me. So, of course, this is the ultimate fuck you to workplace distractions and what to do with it. And it soon disappeared into the mists of time. Or did it? Flash forward, 2017, the Helmphon.
The Helmphon.
By Ukrainian design company Hokuraya, obviously flawless Ukrainian accent. The name comes from combining helmet and phone. Helmphon.
Okay.
And apparently it has the perfect mix between these two key design features. According to their website, it would allow you to be in two worlds, just sitting on your chair in the office, in a meeting, or everywhere you feel like just wearing your helmet.
Okay.
Everywhere you feel like it. It's a fiberglass shell with a polyethylene cloth to keep the interior safe. And the pitch is, it's more than a noise cancelling tool. It comes equipped with a microphone. It has Bluetooth capabilities. It has a camera for virtual meetings. And it even has room for your smartphone. It is your own compact isolation chamber. How did it happen? We'll get to it. I'll show you. 2016, a company nearby approached the Hokuraya people saying, look, our meeting rooms are really small.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a lot of room for this, and obviously they couldn't afford more space. So the design company said, look, their effective meeting spaces were like 3 meters by 3 meters, which is really only enough for one employee to have a call, apparently, like a Skype call, whatever. So they set out to fix it without having to spend money on office space, renos, etc.
Yeah, okay.
And it looks like this.
It's kind of cool.
That's because you can't tell how big it is. What you're looking at now is the kind of the pitch you'd see with little icons to show what it does and doesn't do. And clearly the two that have a hammer with a cross through it and a weight through the cross through it are saying it's not a safety helmet.
Yeah.
So don't get hit on the head with a hammer with it. Here it is basically in use and with a bit of context. That's how big it is.
Oh, so you can get your hand up under the helmet to hold your phone up.
Yeah, it's giant. Like, I mean, how big would you describe it? It's kind of like the size of a reasonable Swiss ball you'd use at the gym.
Yeah, something like yeah.
Big round giant helmet. It's kind of, if you're a Spaceballs, Mel Brooks ancient fan, it's Dark Helmet's helmet.
And again, are you saying this is a serious product?
Serious
not a
product. Serious product. And if you go to their website, obviously the links are in the notes, you can see people sitting at their desk and looking at their laptops and stuff.
And can you see out? You can't see out of this thing.
We can tilt and kind of look up.
That is so dumb. This is really not a problem. I don't get the epic scale of this problem.
No, but what they do, they have a little diagram next to the person nonchalantly leaning with their helmet on against a wall taking a phone call, and they show the 3 by 3 meter space with one person.
Yeah.
And below it, if you're all wearing the helmets, Apparently you get 6 people in there all having Skype calls next to each other.
So what we're saying is you can have a call center or something like that.
Yeah.
And everyone's wearing this helmet.
No one's disturbed.
No one's disturbed. So you've got 6 times as many people jammed into the room.
Cram the fuckers
This
in.
is, you know the thing that always gets me. This is the way, and we might have mentioned this when we talked about Taylorism a while ago.
Yeah.
But it's the way that capitalism or office planning or managerial science.
Capitalism.
But it solves problems, but then goes, okay, how can we, now that we don't have that problem anymore in, working with humans with bodies, we can just cram more people in.
Why don't we just take their brains out and drop them in a jar?
Oh my God.
It's perverse. Apparently it went through testing in Ukraine, their largest IT event, the IT arena. This is 2017. So obviously pre-war. And the executives of the company noted in a press release, several companies have approached them to get helmets in their own offices. And apparently at the time, a bunch of investors were interested too. And there's a YouTube vid too. We'll put the link in if you want to go and have a look at their sales pitch. I could find nothing useful about it. Maybe there was a couple of Ukrainian sites after about 2017. So I don't know. It didn't say it's shit and it didn't say it's working. I don't know.
Vladimir Putin. He went down. He wanted.
That's why he went in.
That's the goal.
Have you seen helmet?
I'm here for the helmet.
This will sell like hotcake. So basically, look, there are all these solutions to make the open office better solutions. But to me, this is the classic case. It's like I'm diabetic, so I'm going to keep eating shitloads of sugar and look for a drug that will stop it, or carbon capture and storage. Don't stop releasing carbon. Find a way to capture it later.
Or how can we genetically engineer our cattle so they don't have horns, so we can cram more of them into the feedlots?
Yeah, this is to me, this is no different. This is no different. How do we make it possible? And so I don't accept those solutions. To me, the solution is don't make people work that way. Get rid of open plan offices.
No.
That's it. And I know, idealist who has an office, but
no. I bet there's a bunch of people out there that are like, I'll take the helmet. And in fact,
at first,
the device that you didn't cover here is the device made by the giant company that is quite successful at making consumer tech that maybe is ticking all of these boxes.
Could be anybody. I don't know who you mean.
Yeah.
Do we use any of their products only every day, all the time?
Yeah, every day, all the time.
Electrolux.
Not Electrolux. But Apple moving into this space suddenly has a device that a lot of people are thinking, actually, that's not the worst. I can imagine that in a flight. I can imagine that in the office. So, it's the same sort of thing. It's a helmet that goes over your eyes, but you can see through it. And there's noise cancelling and all of this sort of technology. Maybe it's still coming. Maybe there is a world where everyone in your cubicle farm is sitting with an Apple headset on.
But you don't – I've got nothing against the tech and the innovation and the VR glasses, all that good stuff. I'm not against that. It's the uses to which it's put. And the idea that it makes you a better drone in an office sits uncomfortably.
Well, let's step away from the drone language and go the idea that maybe this makes you more able to achieve your career dreams. Maybe these people can be more productive in this way, in a way that
some could.
Yeah. So.
Nothing. I mean, I feel soul crushed when I see government workers with their little swipe cards around their necks on a lanyard, and I think, oh, you poor things. It's a symbol for me. It's a symbol to me, man. It's the chain around the neck.
Oh my God, you hippie!
I know, I can't help it. This is why, I mean,
do you know a while ago,
I forgot to declare my bias.
You were saying there's some hippie solutions to this.
They're not good ones, though.
And I thought there was going to be like bead curtains. I wanted to see
I'd do that.
I wanted to see bead curtains around someone's office cubicle, like all the way around.
And every time you move it, the rattling of beads, like, fucking fuck. But God, it would look cool. Yeah, I know. And look, I'm an idealist and I'm not into that. So it's very hard for me to be unbiased about this stuff. But
look,
God.
Of all your solutions, I just think, okay, the Isolator is really, really dumb. The helmet is pretty dumb. But, the combination of noise cancelling headphones and going somewhere else when you need to take a phone call probably answers pretty much 90% of the dramas here.
Although it is weird, though, that you're at a point, if you think about it, you're now in a modern office where you've got to wear essentially protective ear gear to be able to do your job better. It's like, what the fuck? This is an office. But now you got to wear headphones in your office. It's just interesting what we normalise. Idealist, man. To you office workers listening to this now.
What is the big problem with wearing earphones in your office? I don't like dronery. Or what is the problem with wearing earphones and listening to some? I get it's going to be music without lyrics.
Having to is what I don't like. Having to.
Oh, and you know what? You have to put on clothes to go to the office.
I object.
You have to physically move your body, even if you work from home.
How far do we go with that?
Oh, how
Where
far
does it
do we
stop?
go?
It's a slippery slope from pants to implants to severance.
It's really not.
Slippery slope, man.
It's really not.
We're going to die.
You know, there's a deal that we have with each other in society that we all work a bit. So even in your utopia where we have solved the idea of work, there is this idea that maybe we put our shoulders to the grindstone,
nose to the mill,
help make society together. And I get there's a lot of workplaces that aren't great, and there's a lot of shit jobs that shouldn't exist.
It's them that I worry about.
But the idea of stepping into society and going, I'll put clothes on.
Why do you think I always record with no pants? Sticking it to the man, but not directly. I know. I'm biased.
I'm sorry about him, listener. I know that most people are like coping with modern life, but this guy.
Some of it I like. I like television. Only free to wear.
If you find one of those isolators, I will 100%. It depends how much it is.
I was going to say that's a big talk.
I will 100% consider buying it
if it's less than 58 US.
Well, I don't know.
How much would you spend?
More than 58.
What if I said I can find one for 500 US?
500 US.
In perfect condition with 2 oxygen cylinders. Full.
I want someone's face imprint still in it on the other side.
Oh, it's screaming.
Yes, of course.
I'd die from claustrophobia. I'd put that on and immediately start vomiting, and that'd be the end of me.
We'll be back next week, listener. You just enjoy your job and
do what you gotta do.
Keep your battle suit on, but don't worry like him.